There's this quiet room inside of you, a place where thoughts aren't just formed, they're felt, where ideas aren't just processed, but they're actually lived. We're going to explore the architecture of that room and the space between its walls and the world outside. Most people believe loneliness is, well, simple. It's about being alone, right? The absence of other people, a lack of company, a quiet house. But psychology offers a different perspective. A much deeper one, actually. It suggests that the most intense kind of loneliness, it has absolutely nothing to do with being alone. It's about being unheard. So we're not talking about the loneliness of an empty room here, no. This is the loneliness you feel in a crowded one. It's a feeling that comes from something much more subtle, a different kind of absence altogether. See, this feeling isn't caused by a lack of people around you. It's caused by a lack of mental alignment. It's that feeling, like you're totally out of sync with your surroundings, like you're tuned to a completely different frequency than everyone else. And that brings us to this core idea. It's called the depth mismatch. Think of it as this invisible gap. It's the reason a simple conversation can sometimes feel like a performance, and a party can feel like you landed in a foreign country. So what do we even mean by mental alignment? Well, it's really a state of resonance. It's that moment when your complex inner world, all your thoughts, your emotions, your deepest questions, isn't just heard, but it's actually understood, reflected back at you. It's that feeling of being truly seen. This really gets at the experience for highly reflective people. You see, their inner world is just in constant motion. It's always processing ideas and emotions on this really deep level. But the outer world, a lot of the time, it just operates on the surface. So when these two realities meet, that depth from the inside can feel, well, lost. Lost in the shallows of everything happening on the outside. And the result of that mismatch, it's this profound emotional distance. It's the reason why you can be standing in a room full of laughter, full of conversation, full of life, and yet feel utterly, completely, and totally isolated. Okay, so what actually builds this feeling of isolation? What's the hidden architecture behind this whole experience? Let's take a look. Well, research points to a whole set of underlying reasons. And it's important to know these are not character flaws, not at all. They're just cognitive and emotional patterns. Things like a real sensitivity to emotional tone, a preference for what's authentic, mental fatigue from constant self-analysis, and an awareness of the social masks we all wear. Let's look at a few of these a bit more closely. First up, there's a sensitivity to emotional tone. This is all about hearing not just what is said, but how it's said. It's that knack for noticing the tiny inconsistencies between someone's words and their feelings. And when you pick up on that dissonance, those surface-level chats can feel, well, not just inauthentic, but almost jarring. Next, let's talk about a preference for authenticity over popularity. Now, this isn't about rejecting people. It's about rejecting the performance. It's that quiet choice you make to look for a genuine connection, even if it's incredibly rare, instead of chasing the easy validation that comes from, social climbing. You have to remember, depth is often invisible, and so are the connections it's looking for. And then there's the mental fatigue. Think about it. When your mind is just wired for constant self-analysis, for introspection, it means it's always working. And that internal cognitive load, it makes superficial conversations so draining. It's not that they're just uninteresting, they're genuinely exhausting. And finally, there is an awareness of social masks. This is that ability to see right beneath the surface of an interaction, to recognize the hidden motives and all the unspoken rules of the game. But the thing is, when you can see the performance so clearly, it becomes really difficult to connect with the actual person behind the mask. It's true, silence often observes what noise completely ignores. So you see, these aren't just random feelings. Psychology actually connects them to very specific traits. Things like heightened self-awareness, an introspective cognitive style, and a deep emotional complexity. And these are not, I repeat, not signs of weakness. They are indicators of a rich, complex inner landscape. Which brings us to a really powerful way to reframe this entire experience. A way to see it not as some problem that needs to be solved, but as a condition that just needs to be understood. And this gets to the very heart of the matter. Loneliness, when you look at it this way, is not a social failure. It is depth without resonance. That's what it is. It's the experience of having this entire world inside of you, just waiting for a frequency that actually matches its own. It's like a quiet echo in a room that was built for a full symphony. And all of this leaves us with one final lingering thought. What if the quietest minds aren't empty at all? What if they're just waiting? Waiting for a conversation that's finally deep enough to hold everything they have to say. If you wish to understand the psychology behind quiet minds, you can subscribe and continue the deep dive.